one of your key markets of Paris, Texas. And I think from when I can first remember a Walmart there, I think we are on, I think the fourth store, might be the third store, but I think it's the fourth store. What are some of the changes over your career that you've seen with Walmart?
Yeah, Shawn. In Paris, Texas, I've been to Paris, Texas. In fact, one of the family members on my wife's side was with Kimberly Clark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who, by the way, is a huge Walmart customer, or we're a large customer of theirs too, rather. So it's a great little community, and that is a good example of where we have seen our stores go from the little hometown stores to Division I to expanding into grocery, and sometimes we outgrow a store in the community, but we stay in that community. And I know for the longest time, as I've done this job, we would see that opportunity exist where we could either expand an existing store or relocate within the community to a bigger store, only because that existing footprint couldn't accommodate a move, or we would even add a second or third, brick and mortar presence. And it's a great problem to have, so to speak. I mean, we never take for granted those opportunities, but you're right. I mean, we eventually found our way into the grocery business, and a lot of that thanks to our old CEO David Glass, who predated Lee Scott, and we learned a lot of things through our own suppliers and our customers, and even our competitors taught us a few things. And the great thing is that we found that if we just really keep our ear to the ground and listen to the customers, we can remain relevant. And I think a good example of that is, so now we're not only in grocery, but we, even have in most locations these days, or working to get in most locations, is online grocery pickup, where, a customer can go online and, select, what grocery items and some general merchandise too that they want to have to pick up at their nearby Walmart store. And then their personal shopper, that is a new role within our store, will of course select those items, and as those customers get to do this more within a store, they find out that those personal shoppers get to know them too, and it's a kind of a neat little relationship. And I think as we go along, we get to be even more attuned to the needs of the customer, and then along with that comes omni-channel and e-commerce. It's hard to ignore that things have really changed a lot in the last 10 plus years, and we've done some things to try to remain relevant with our customers. We find that not only do people like to save money, but they also like to save time when they shop, and that's why I think we are working hard to in this day and age of, contracting retail to remain relevant and be even more relevant, and then kind of create those shopping experiences, those stores that are easier to shop, friendlier in that regard, and more relevant from a merchandise mix, and then innovations in technology, the way they shop. And I mentioned that because we just announced, not long ago, that we were going to spend about $11 billion on remodels in our stores, and I think that's important and significant. Again, with the advent of e-commerce and that competition really being hard on some of those other retailers out there, and we feel like we're embracing e-commerce in the sort of digital way of shopping, but then also doubling down on sort of that brick and mortar presence, and that it's an important thing to customers and communities. So I think that's kind of been the most significant change we've seen, and it's been exciting.
John, you mentioned having a presence just now in communities and talking about being in places like Paris, Texas. In your current role with Walmart, you are keenly focused on community and being in the community, and that is one of the key things that Walmart has done, and part of their investment, and part of why the company is special is you have stores in a lot of different communities, and one of those communities in particular where you have a lot of stores is this market, Dallas-Fort Worth. tell us about the community relations role. Tell us about why this market is important, and some of the other important markets to the company as well.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks, and thanks for noticing. And in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, we do have a lot of stores and a huge investment, and it's very emblematic or representative of our entire Texas investment. There is no other state in the 50 where we have a bigger presence and more investment. And here, as you know, there are a number of stores is just shy of 600.
I think we're one shy of 600.
Right, and that
is the latest number I've seen.
That's huge, and it's and with that, we have about just shy of 150,000 associates that we employ, and a lot of sort of ancillary business. But because of that investment, and because we are we're fortunate that customers in Dallas have embraced us and really seem to appreciate that we're there. We want to ensure that people know that we're in this for the long haul, that we want to ensure that our long-term viability is such that it's a sort of a holistic approach to a community. It's not just being a good merchandiser that provides as much of a frictionless transaction that gives them a good value also in the store, whether it's site to store or online grocery pickup or even just a traditional swing by through the store. But we also believe that it's important to the customers that we are thoughtful and intentional about the things that we do in the community, beyond, being a merchandise, and from philanthropy standpoint, and whether it's, doing something with the North Texas Food Bank or, trying to support a veterans program, or even, through some of the chambers of commerce, economic development offices, or workforce development. All of those things are very important to customers, and we feel like that, that sort of investment, one, needs to happen and be as, strategic and effective as possible. But we also know that, that customers are generally vaguely aware of what we do, or that we're a good corporate citizen, but they don't always know exactly what we do. And so our thought is that, we should help our stores, tell that story of, what they do as a good corporate citizen, what are some of those organizations and causes they support, and in doing so, we tell the story that Walmart does in fact support causes and organizations in a community, but then kind of tell that story too of what some of those organizations are that we support, because in all of these instances I can think of, there are so many great agencies out there that do good work. And whether it's the shelter for women, or again the food pantry, these are things that have an impact. And then there's also sort of the fun side of it too. Whether you're sponsoring a barbecue cook-off, or or going down to the Rangers park and supporting the Rangers Foundation by
Black Panther movie screening.
Yes, right. Exactly. That's exactly right, Shawn. And we find that our customers and their families enjoy that aspect of it too. And it's not to be forgotten. And I think sort of the short, to put a finer point on it, it's like we have found that we do a lot of great things, but it's like the proverbial tree in the forest that, you see it sprout and grow, and it provides us habitat and the shade and all this, wonderful benefit. And of course, it continues to do that. But if nobody sees it or hears it or senses it, does it happen? And that's really kind of the challenge that we've been up against. And we never were real comfortable about, kind of telling that aspect of our sort of being in a community, tooting our own horn, so to speak. But we found that absent that, people have no idea what you're doing, and they start to wonder, what do you stand for?
Sure.
And so that's really what this has been about, and we feel like places like Dallas, and I get to Kansas City sometimes, and there's Houston, and whether it's Charlotte or all over the U.S. and L.A. There's where we have considerable investment and a presence. We feel like that's probably a good place to start to really get our stores comfortable with kind of telling that story, and it's not just someone like myself getting out there and giving direction. It's kind of teaching folks that you can tell your story, and you do that through digital and social media, and you do it through your own partners, and you tell their story too. And we think that's just an important thing to our customers and the communities we call home.
Deconstructing Dallas, Ryan Trimble, Sean Williams. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk to John about some exciting things going on with Walmart, something we like to call Walmart Open Call, and a little send-off party we had. Stick with us. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey, this is Shawn. This week I finally made it to an appointment I've been putting off. That's right, I visited my dentist. I have to admit I was a couple of months behind on my cleaning, and I just knew that I was in for a beatdown. But alas, both my dentist and my hygienist gave me major props on my chops. They said that they could tell I've been brushing, and both my teeth and my gums were in great shape. I let them know I had started using Buck Brush, the superior electric toothbrush that delivers the quality of a $150 toothbrush, but for only $35. My dentist said that he also switched to an electric toothbrush, and he's all in just like me. Like I've said before, Buck Brush does not try to rip you off by charging you $15 for every replacement brush head. For only $1 a month, you will be brushing fresh all year. Buck Brush vibrates strong enough to make a difference in your brushing, and the vibrations act as a timer as well. Stop spending hundreds on your electric toothbrush and set yourself up for a great dentist visit just like I had this week. Visit buckbrushco.com to get started. That's buckbrushco.com. Join the revolution and let's vibe together. We are back deconstructing Dallas. Of course, it's Sean Williams and Ryan Trimble, but we also are with John Bizio, Senior Director of Community Relations at Walmart. And John, I want to talk to you. You mentioned North Texas Food Bank, and I know you and Ryan attended an event today which kind of typifies the work that you guys do at a number of charities and local community partners, as you mentioned. So can you talk about that event that you guys were out today working on with North Texas Food Bank?
Yeah, Sean, thanks. And our regional vice president of operations, Sonia Hostetler, was with us. And Sonia is actually a member of the board of the North Texas Food Bank, which is terrific because it really gives her some insight as to the mission of the food bank and really how we can play a part in, not just, transactionally, presenting a check for, dollars, which of course is important. And I think we've, in the last, several years, we've given over $1 million in funds, and that doesn't count the number of tons of food that we've donated from our stores.
So that's to the food bank.
Right, yeah. Exactly. But we were at an organization called Voice of Hope this afternoon with Sonia and with members of the North Texas Food Bank and, of course, Voices of Hope. And the program there was focused on more or less summer feeding, which goes hand in hand with sort of a summer school type program that the the ministry there conducts during the summer months, and servicing about 150,
160 kiddos
every day, and these kids are participating in educational programs, fitness and sports type programs, little extracurricular stuff that exposes them to culture around the city of Dallas. I think they were talking about going to the Crayola experience, among other things, and just a really solid, holistic program. And